Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been following the NFL news cycle lately, you know that trade rumors and proposals are heating up, especially around the Washington Commanders. And honestly, that's no surprise. The NFL offseason is a period where every team, especially those with playoff ambitions like Washington, is looking to make strategic moves to improve their roster. And this year, the buzz around the Commanders is particularly intense because of some interesting trade ideas floating around, specifically in the tight end department. You see, last season, the Commanders relied heavily on Zach Ertz, who, despite being a veteran, had a pretty solid campaign. He finished second among the team's pass catchers with 66 receptions, totaling 654 yards, and pulling in 7 touchdowns. For a team that's still trying to find its identity offensively, having a reliable tight end is crucial, especially one with Ertz's experience. The team decided to bring him back this offseason on a 1-year deal, which makes sense. But there's a question looming over Ertz's long-term future in Washington, and that's where the trade rumors start to make their way into the conversation. Now, the NFL trade chatter isn't just idle speculation. It's rooted in strategic thinking about what the Commanders could do to elevate their offense. Enter Kyle Pitts, a player who's been generating a lot of buzz in recent months. Pitts, as many of you know, is currently a member of the Atlanta Falcons, and he's a dynamic tight end with a lot of upside. The interesting part, Bleacher Report recently floated a trade idea that could benefit Washington a lot if it ever materializes. According to this proposal, the Commanders could potentially acquire Pitts in exchange for a couple of third-round picks. Specifically, a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 third-round pick. At first glance, it seems like a bold move, but it's also worth analyzing whether it makes sense in the big picture. The idea behind this trade is that adding Kyle Pitts could give the Commanders a true weapon at tight end, one that could complement and even elevate their passing game. Last season, the team's tight end situation was somewhat makeshift. Sinot, a promising second-year player, is in the mix, but Pitts could provide a significant upgrade in terms of talent and matchup potential. And let's not forget the strategic advantage. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury is known for his innovative passing schemes. Imagine him scheming up mismatches with Pitts, Sinot, Terry McLaurin, and Deebo Samuel all on the field at once. That's a nightmare for defenses. Pitts' ability to stretch the field and create separation could open up a lot of options for quarterback Jayden Daniels, allowing him to really flourish in his second year as the starter. But here's where the complexity comes in. Pitts is on his 5th-year option for 2025, which means he's set to make a significant salary next season unless the team signs him to a new contract. That's the typical challenge with tight ends like Pitts. They're talented, but their financial commitments can be hefty. On top of that, Deebo Samuel, whose contract situation is only for this year, adds another layer of uncertainty. The Commanders still need to pay McLaurin, who's an integral part of their offense, before they can even think about making splashy moves. The trade proposal suggests parting with 2 third-round picks to acquire Pitts. Now, that might seem reasonable on the surface, but when you dig a little deeper, it raises questions. Pitts is a talented player, no doubt, but he's also a player with a somewhat uncertain future in Washington. The team might be risking losing those early-round picks if Pitts leaves after his 5th-year option, especially if they can't lock him into a long-term deal. That's a significant gamble. And honestly, it's a move that might be out of character for Adam Peters, who's been cautious with draft capital and roster moves in recent years. You see, the Commanders have been building a pretty solid foundation, especially defensively, but their offense is still a work in progress. Adding Pitts could be a game-changer, but it also raises the question, is it worth giving up valuable draft capital for a player who might not be long-term in Washington? The team's management, led by Peters, has shown a tendency to prioritize stability and strategic investments, rather than risky trades that could backfire. And let's be clear, Ertz isn't a long-term solution, but he's a reliable one-year fix. His experience and chemistry with the team make him a valuable asset, especially as Sinat continues to develop. Pitts, on the other hand, while talented, comes with a lot of uncertainties. Does the potential for a star tight end outweigh the risk of losing 2 third-round picks, especially considering that Pitts might be gone after 2025? That's the fundamental question that the Commanders' front office will need to answer if they decide to entertain this trade. Now, for all the fans watching, it's important to remember that NFL teams often weigh these decisions carefully. They look at the long-term picture, how a player fits into their system, their salary cap situation, the draft capital they're sacrificing, and the overall team chemistry. So, while the idea of acquiring Pitts is certainly exciting, it's not a move that should be taken lightly. The Commanders have been cautious in recent years, and that approach has served them well, especially as they try to build a sustainable winning culture. And speaking of the bigger picture, the Commanders have other areas to address as well, like their cornerback position, which has been a topic of discussion throughout the offseason. They've been linked to potential moves there, trying to bolster their secondary to match the improvements on offense. Meanwhile, the quarterback position is also under scrutiny, with Jaden Daniels entering his second year and expected to take a step forward. The team has a lot of pieces in place, but adding a player like Pitts would be a bold statement of intent. Still, it's worth noting that the NFL is a league of cap space, draft picks, and strategic gambles. The Commanders, under Ron Rivera and his staff, have shown a willingness to adapt and be aggressive when the opportunity presents itself. But they're also disciplined, and that's why any trade involving high-value picks or players needs to make sense on multiple levels. So, in conclusion, whether or not the Commanders will pursue a trade for Kyle Pitts remains to be seen. It's an intriguing possibility that could boost their offense significantly, but it also carries risks. The team's management will have to evaluate if the potential upside outweighs the cost and the uncertainties involved. One thing is for sure, the NFC East is shaping up to be one of the most competitive divisions in recent memory, with teams constantly trying to outdo each other. The Commanders are no exception, and moves like these could be pivotal in their quest for division dominance and a deep playoff run. Remember, folks, the NFL offseason is full of surprises, and the Commanders are right in the middle of it. Whether they decide to make a bold move or stay the course, one thing is certain: every decision they make is about building a team capable of competing at the highest level, aiming for that elusive Super Bowl. So stay tuned, keep your eyes on the news, and be ready for more updates because the Commanders are always aiming higher, always pushing forward. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential trade? Do you believe acquiring Kyle Pitts is a smart move for the team, or do you think giving up those third-round picks is just too much risk? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion really matters to us and to the future of this team. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more insights, and the latest news on the Washington Commanders, so make sure to stay tuned and stay passionate. This team is on the rise, and every move they make is a step closer to that Super Bowl dream. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Commanders!